The lady used a severed finger, and I've gotten inquiries from, McDonald's not giving enough ketchup packets to
Really?
to murder.
Welcome to episode 6 of No Script. Today's guest is a man who spends his days passing down knowledge that could be the reason you stay out of jail. The only TikToker I know that would still be rich without social media. If you haven't seen him on your For You page, you may have seen him in a court of law. I won't say much else, so viewers, I plead the fifth. Please welcome Mike Mandell, aka Law by Mike. Hello, Mike. Get yourself situated.
Right.
All right. How are you? Thanks for coming.
Good. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah. You're like, I'm not putting anyone else that before you down, but you're like, you had it going before social media was a thing, right?
Yeah, I went through all the schooling, lawyer for 10 years now, still a lawyer. So social media was kind of a side thing, just to kind of bring in some more business, and now it's become a full-time job.
So I think that's the difference. Like I started social media. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do social media.
It worked out for you, fortunately.
Fortunately, I have nothing to fall
Yeah.
back on. I left school with 3 semesters left, so I'd have nothing to fall back on at all. But you, on the other hand, you're like, did you do this for like to promote yourself more so, or was it to?
Yeah, I mean, at the time, it was about 2 years ago now, started working at my family's law firm. I was only there for a month. And, they were hoping that I was going to take over the whole firm and all of that. And I was just trying to bring in some extra business for them. So I started using social media. They weren't having it. Like, they didn't really want me to do it. So they said, don't mention the law firm name. So I just did it, as me. Mm-hmm. And then a month in, it took off, and I had to leave the family firm.
Wow.
Which they also didn't like. But now, they're cool with it now.
So were you like the first TikTok lawyer to do this? I don't know if you want to be called this the TikTok lawyer, but were you like the first lawyer to?
Well, I started on TikTok, but I had been posting at the time also on Instagram. And I wasn't the first lawyer, but the lawyers that I looked at, there was only like 3 or 4 at the time. And the top lawyer had like 1 million followers, and all he did was dances. So
There's a lawyer dancing?
Yeah, it was just dancing with his
Really?
family. Yeah. And because that's kind of when I started this, it was, for the most part, TikTok was mostly goofy videos, It wasn't really used for educational purposes. And I saw an opportunity to, use the platform for something different and educate people about the law, and it blew up.
Yeah, so you're known, from what I've seen, for like some crazy transitions. You do some like wild things. Is this something, because you started more so educational, now you're getting into like these skits that are still educational, but it's more like appealing to the viewers. Is that something you think affects your law side of things, but boosts your business on social media, or is it all working together for the better?
It all works together. If you haven't seen the skits, Kia's in a lot of them, so check them out. But it's been like an evolution, and when we first started out, it was just me talking, but doing the transitions to keep it entertaining, and then we kind of took more liberty as we saw that the audience would let us. Being a lawyer, a lot of people are concerned. A lot of lawyers are concerned about how they present themselves, and they think they have to be very rigid, and that they'll only get clients if they aren't funny and stay very serious. Mm-hmm. And we kind of took that off the plate, and did something different. And I still get clients and people calling for legal help, because I think it's really about people connecting with the person. And lawyers can be funny, but we also are smart. Some of us.
That's what I noticed from you when I first met you. We could talk about that too. It was funny. It's like, I'm like, damn, this motherfucker is cool as fuck. Like, you're not like what I pictured a lawyer getting into social media. It was exactly what you said. Like, I need to keep this image. I'm a lawyer, this, that. But I'm like, no, he's having fun. He's showing who he really is. And that's what I like. I think the other thing you mentioned, getting clients, are these clients, do they know what kind of lawyer you are? Is it always like, hey, I have this traffic incident going on? Or do you ever get like, hey, I'm OJ Simpson?
We've helped people out with murder cases, murder charges. And I've gotten inquiries from, McDonald's not giving enough ketchup packets to
Really?
to murder charges. It's crazy the amount. People will reach out with any type of issue they have. A lot of, we do our best to respond to everyone. It's hard, given the amount of, followers we have. But a lot of times people just want to be heard, and we try our best to do that. But unfortunately, I can't respond to every single DM, but we try to.
That's crazy. I did not expect, honestly, like, I didn't expect someone to kill someone, reach out to someone they've seen on social media for help.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to lawyers, one thing about the law is that you can't really know who to call or who's a good lawyer. Like, if you try to go online and look it up, or even go outside, you'll see billboards everywhere, like lawyer advertisements everywhere, but you don't know if these people are good, and you can't really Yelp them like you can like a restaurant, you know? So really you get the best, like to find the best lawyers, you need to ask someone who's a lawyer, most likely, who they would recommend. And that's kind of what we do with a lot of our inquiries is we partner with other lawyers and help people with their cases. And, people coming to me are asking, who would I recommend or who would I work with to help them on their cases. And we try to do that when it's appropriate.
Now, do you ever go to court to represent someone, or you're usually sending it out?
I've gone to court. I mean, I've been a lawyer for 10 years, so I've gone to court a lot. In recent times, I've been going a lot less. With COVID as well, most of the stuff was, virtual. So it just depends. Certain cases I will, but for the most part, I've been devoting a lot of my energy to making the content for everyone.
Yeah, you mentioned billboards. Is that something you ever thought about getting into, or is that like too...
I think that's a advertisement of the past. I mean, not to say they don't work, but it's a little crazy. I mean, if you're driving down the freeway,
the call Jacob.
I mean, there'll be like billboard after billboard of like, it's like all the lawyers wanted to put it all in the same place, and it's like crazy. But I guess it works. But I think the power of social media is much better. You can actually engage with people instead of just telling them what they should be listening to, or telling them to call you. And we try to use social media not to advertise for ourselves, but instead to impart knowledge. Really, I've taken a role of being an educator. We want to educate people about the law, since they're not taught it in school, or you have to spend a lot of time and money, 7 years, to become a lawyer to understand the law.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the things you say, it's like people want to know that kind of stuff. So you're really like,
Are you in trouble?
I've been I've been like someone's at a traffic stop.
Like,
the cop comes.
These tips really resonate.
The cop comes. He's like, license and registration. I'm like, secretly, I have like the law by my under my foot right here.
Hey, it's not a bad idea, man.
No service in the middle of Tijuana.
Yeah, save those.
So I wanted to run. You mentioned the billboards. I wanted to run a business idea I had by you. And you tell me from a legal standpoint if that's a good idea. So you see the buses, right? Where they have like lawyers on the back of the buses, call, blah, 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 blah. So I was thinking, I put myself on the back of a bus, right? Well, it's a little expensive. First, I'd have to buy every bus in a city, right?
Right.
So let's say we're in West Hollywood. I buy every single bus in West Hollywood. I stick my face on the back of it with the thumbs up. It says, "We win every time. Call Kia," right? Hold on, that's not the good part. I hire these bus drivers to back into people.
Oh, God.
So this motherfucker is like sitting in his car, and this bus just starts backing into him. He's like, shit. And then obviously my sign's going to say something like, hit by a bus, call, we win every time.
Yeah, there's a lot of legal problems here. Definitely illegal. One, you're intentionally destroying property and potentially injuring people, so that gets you into some criminal trouble. You're also, I guess, presumably advertising yourself as a lawyer when you're not, so that could get you in criminal and civil trouble. Yeah, you'd probably be paying all these people for their messed up cars, and probably calling me to get you out of jail. So I wouldn't recommend it.
The day you get a phone call from me, my business.
Yeah, like, oh gosh, I told them on that podcast not to do it.
That's funny. So I saw one of your videos was talking about, you mentioned McDonald's. I saw the Wendy's case with the finger.
Yeah,
I thought you said that was a myth.
No, it's not a myth. It was. It's a myth in that the story happened, but
It was fake,
the lady used a severed finger from, so her husband or boyfriend, I can't remember which, was working on a job and someone lost their finger and he took it. And then she put it in a Wendy's chili.
Also, the finger was
real.
Finger.
It was a real human finger, but not a finger from an employee or anyone else. It was from, the husband or boyfriend was working a different job. Someone else lost a finger, but they preserved the finger to put it in the Wendy's chili when they ordered it. And it became it was a huge thing. I remember when I was younger, because I think this was in the 90s or early 2000s, but it was like big on the news, and they're like, Wendy's put out a reward for anyone that could explain like where the finger came from. And
Really?
They're probably like checking every employee for how many digits they have on their hand.
My mom to this day refuses to eat Wendy's because of that.
Yeah,
I'm like, Mom,
it didn't happen. It was someone trying to scam it, and that person got jailed. I think I said in the video it was 4 years in jail. The number of fingers left on the person's hands.
That's fun.
But and then I was looking up when I was doing that video. I was researching it and checking my facts and stuff, and found out that when she was released from jail, she was quickly put back in jail for running another scam where
she had a penis in her Taco Bell taco.
No, she I can't remember if it was her son or herself, but it was like shooting someone in the foot, and it was like done on Wait, don't quote me on that.
For this finger and did
she did another scam, another type of,
and it all involves like hurting humans to
some type of human hurt. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Not the heart kind, not the sentimental.
Have you gotten any weird call like this?
Oh God. I don't know if I'm liberty to say some of the weird stuff I've gotten.
That's right. You can't talk much, huh?
No, I mean, I just some of them, I just forget them over time. I mean, I remember there was one time a kid called me and wanted to ask me if I could sue someone who pantsed him in school. and I was like, have your parents call me. But
they actually call you? Hey,
yeah.
Mike, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, the parents?
No, the parents didn't.
Oh,
no.
I was gonna say
no.
the parents.
No, but it was just it made me laugh for the day, definitely.
So you do get prank calls, huh?
Not too much. No one out there, please don't do some prank calls.
Prank call Mike. Put his phone number right here.
Kia, don't make me bring you to court. But no. Sometimes, but not really. We do a good job of screening out that stuff. Because we are trying to help people with their real legal issues. So don't prank phone call us. But if you want to prank phone call someone, let me tell you Kia's number.
909.
I got a cell phone.
So I want to talk about how we met, because that was kind of a funny story.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I got called in one night. They were like, hey, we have this reality show tomorrow. Yeah. I'm like, tomorrow? They're like, yeah, 8 a.m. I was like, dang, okay, what's the reality show? They're like, so the model we have, and the model was, I think one of my good friends, I don't know if you know Jake Hunter. This guy is like, if we could put a picture of him, like ripped, like 6'3", super ripped. I'm like, they called me to replace him. I was like, this is kind of weird. And I get there and they tell me, they're like, so we wanted to take more of a comedic approach because of your look. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, you didn't quite fit the muscular build they wanted.
Right. So I got there, and then Mike sits next to me. They're like, all right, here's Mike, the host of the show. I'm just like looking at him like, this guy looks so familiar. And then he like kind of sees me looking, and you're like writing something. I remember we're at the table. You're writing something down. Yeah. And then you just look up. You're like, you know who I am?
I don't know if I said that. That sounds
word for
sounds. All right. Well, I invoked the fifth on that one. But yeah, no, it was that was a crazy thing. We were someone had asked me to be a host for this kind of dating show that it never went anywhere. So unfortunately for everyone out there, you won't be able to watch the whole thing, which
it was bad.
It's probably a good thing. But
not the people that did it. Yeah. I was not happy with my performance.
Well, there was no performance. I mean, the concept of the show was to have these like Instagram models, basically tear apart a cocky, jerk guy. And that's why I guess your friend, fit that bill or was going to, be that person. But instead they got you.
Yeah.
And the show the show turned into like they were all geared up to be like, we're going to tear this person apart. Yeah. And then they were like, oh, you're so adorable. And it just like, it didn't have the impact I think they wanted. But yeah, that was funny.
The funniest thing was because I still don't own a suit to this day. I didn't own a suit at that time either. So I showed up there the night before, right when I got the call. I went to my friend Robbie's house. He let me borrow a suit. And I got there that day. I'm like, hey, I have a suit. I had a pink hoodie on that day. They're like, okay, go change into your suit. I walk out of my suit. It's literally your suit.
Oh, yeah.
A duplicate version of your suit. The producer's like, you look like Mike's younger brother.
Yeah. I remember that. I do remember that.
So something that was supposed to be so professional, they're like, just you're gonna have to do the hoodie and shorts.
Yeah. So you didn't even want to wear that thing. I remember that. It just added to it even more because the girls were like much older than you.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
They're like, I think they had. I don't know. I shouldn't say their ages. They'll probably be mad. But
31, 28.
Yeah. So and then you wearing the pink hoodie, it just made you look. They're like, who's this Gen Z kid coming in? This nice Gen Z kid that we're supposed to tear apart. Can't do that.
And now that show is nowhere to be found. Okay, so I had a couple things I wanted to talk to you about on here, kind of like law related. Just something I think the viewers would be curious about knowing about. One of the big ones I think is in media today, a lot of rappers are being like looked into because of lyrics. Lyrics are being taken into court. A lot of people are saying he said this, so he did this. So I wanted to ask from your point of view, is this legal evidence that can be used in court?
As of right now, it can be used in court, and there's the federally they're trying to change that. There's an act called the RAP Act, RAP.
Is that really what it's called?
Yeah, it's called that, and it has not been enacted yet, has not been signed yet. But the purpose of it is to put some constraints on people using, the prosecution using evidence of rap lyrics to prove a crime. California has passed something that's very similar to that federal one, and New York is working on something. But the states themselves, the other states, there's nothing yet, and there's a problem there because even if the federal one passes, that's only if you're facing federal charges, right? So if you're in Utah or something and you're facing, the charges there from the state, if they don't have something, they don't have to follow what the federal, government says.
So how do they decide where it's based? Like where the song was recorded, where it was sang?
Oh, where are you saying when you say where it's based? Oh, well, like it would be what the crime is, right? Not based on the lyrics. So if you committed a state crime in Colorado or something, then it's going to be a state crime in Colorado. If it's a federal crime, then you would potentially be protected by this RAP Act that they're trying to pass. But as of now, it's been used to put. I think I read somewhere it was like 80% of courts have let these rap lyrics in when they've occurred instead of keeping them out. And the problem is that it tends to be particular to just rap music, right? Not other types of music.
Oh, really? So if there was like a country singer that
hypothetically that could happen, but in practice, it's not. It's being used against rappers.
Because I guess it is mostly a rap kind of thing when you talk about this kind of stuff. You don't
possibly. I mean, I don't know. There's probably a country song out there that says
I have heard a country song where it's about him chasing someone to kill the guy that he caught him cheating.
I mean, it's just very.
Song, Run Around Sue.
There you go, Run Around Sue. But it is. It is biased in the sense of how it's being applied, right? So there's concerns about that, and it's also concerns about First Amendment rights. Being able to speak your creative freedom. Rap music is often uses exaggeration, and who's to say if that's true or not. So they're really trying to tighten it on how you can let that those lyrics in. Has to really. You have to the goal of these new laws that they're trying to pass is that there has to be clear and convincing evidence that what they said was literal and not something made up.
Can you imagine in court, like they pull up this guy's song, this guy murders like 3 people, right? They pull up his song, the jury's like these older white gentlemen like listening, and then all you hear from the song is like mumble rap. And the judge is like, you guys heard that? What the fuck did he say?
They'll have to have someone explain what was said. But yeah, it's an interesting thing, and in my opinion, there does need to be some limits on it because it can really bias a jury, especially, introducing lyrics where you're talking about kind of violence and stuff like that. It just makes people think you're a violent person,
Right.
not like, oh, this is an artist being an artist. They're thinking, okay, you're being charged with a violent crime, and these lyrics are talking about violence, so now we think you're even more violent.
Do you think it'll ever get to the point where rappers' lyrics in general could lead them into jail for any reason?
No, I mean, there's got to be, part of the thing that these laws are doing is making sure, like, you can only introduce the lyrics, if clear and convincing that it's literal, that there's no other evidence that you could be used instead of the lyrics to prove it. So, they're really trying to make it so that can't be used. But the statement itself, very unlikely that it could be used like just by itself to charge someone or convict someone. You're going to need, evidence. Like, where's the weapon? Where's the thing? All of that stuff. So
This guy's words kill someone.
yeah.
I was thinking it's like, oh, Al Pacino's, he's like a mafia boss because I saw it in the movie type thing. So that must mean Drake's a killer too,
Just some weird connections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's yeah. There's stuff like that. I mean, that's a good point with like movies. Was it like the Harry Potter guy? What's it, Malfoy? He like couldn't act for a while. Like everyone on the streets like was like, you're a jerk. Like they all hated him, and they're like, because they couldn't differentiate between the actor and the character that they've seen for so long. And sometimes I even think like oh wow, like I do have to remember they're an actor, but that's how good they are at acting.
Yeah. What's it called? The new what was the new thing that came out where the guy kept his accent even after? Elvis, the Elvis movie. Did you hear about that?
Oh no, I didn't hear. I mean, I saw part of the Elvis movie.
Like he goes on Jimmy Fallon afterwards and still sounds like Elvis, doesn't try to sound like Elvis, never sounded like Elvis before he started preparing for the Elvis role. Wow. And then now Jimmy's like, can you do an Elvis impression? And he literally, it's like he's already Elvis and he can't, he said the accent stuck with him.
That was like a role of a lifetime for him, right? So he probably, method acting.
It's crazy.
People get serious.
It changes you. Yeah. The next thing I wanted to talk about was, as a lawyer, when it comes to taking certain cases, like looking at the bigger scale of things, I don't want to give examples or anything, but let's say there's school shootings, for example, which is like something huge. It's when it comes to a lawyer representing someone like that, where it's like a lot of turmoil is like surrounding that one person. What's like the responsibility of a lawyer to say, I could take this case versus I don't want to take this case, or if they have to?
Well, if they're assigned as a public defender, they probably don't have much of an option. There are ways, to decline the case, and I don't really know the inner workings of public defender's office as far as what they can do to get out of it. But every person charged with a crime, we're not talking like traffic tickets and stuff here, but an actual crime facing jail, is entitled to a defense and a lawyer. So, but as far as like private practice, criminal defense lawyers, they can decline a case if they don't want to take it. But, I think people need to remember that the defense lawyer's job is not to prove that their client is innocent. They're there to make sure that the prosecution is able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that they committed the crime.
Right.
So, there's kind of a misconception where people are like, oh, you're a criminal defense lawyer, so like you're defending the guilty, the criminals and all of that. But in actuality, if you take a step back, the defense lawyer is making sure that the prosecution meets all the burdens that they have to convict someone. And if they don't, then that person goes free. And what happens when an innocent person is there, and if you don't have these defense lawyers making sure that the prosecution meets every single burden, then an innocent person goes to jail. So it's really a check and balance on the system to make sure that justice is served.
Yeah. So that, speaking of innocent people getting put in jail, throughout like high school, I was really interested in this kind of stuff. So I was doing a lot of research. I was writing papers on people wrongfully being incarcerated, and it's a pretty big number, but we can never even like ultimately get down to that number because you just don't know at the end of the day. But it makes you wonder, like, the system is so, like, from what I've seen, it's so like based on precedent that the system doesn't change much at all. So it's really hard to like come into the system this established already and try to change something like that. So I think is that something you think could have any changes for the better?
I mean, it's when you talk about the system, there's a lot of components, right?
Right.
You got the police, you have, the laws, the lawmakers, right? And you also have the judges and the prosecutors, and all of these systems working together need change, right?
Right.
To prevent, someone from being incarcerated who's innocent. And there's a lot of reasons why people get incarcerated who are innocent. Some of it is plea bargaining, right? If you're faced with life in prison or 10 years, if you just say you're guilty, a lot of people scared of life in prison will say okay to 10 years, right? I mean, think about it logically. Like,
That is a scary
do you want to take
situation,
it?
yeah.
Do you want to take a gamble or not? And then, unfortunately, public defenders are not they're overworked. They have too many cases, and so the free lawyer that you're entitled to in those cases, isn't putting quite the same amount of attention, or isn't putting usually the same amount of attention into it as someone that you're paying a ton of money to, right? And then you have a wealth disparity of people who have money can get off on crimes, or if they're innocent, not have to go to jail, but people who don't kind of get screwed over, right? So there's a lot of different stuff there, and then of course with the cops, you have there's racial bias, there's improperly getting evidence, and there's even situations of planting evidence, right? There's all sorts of stuff that goes on even on the lower level all the way up, right?
Is that a big thing? Is planting evidence a huge thing?
I mean, it's not as common as yeah. I mean, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
Honestly, but there's obviously been instances. But I think what's more common is cops potentially taking a little more leeway than they should on certain things, right? When I give my tips, we talk about they have to have probable cause if they want to go into your car, for example, right? Or if they want to make you leave your car, they have to have a reasonable suspicion to get out of your car. Sorry, they have to have a reasonable suspicion that you're armed and dangerous. And that, that kind of, it's hard because the laws are like, these are the laws, but there's a lot of wiggle room, right? Like, what made the cops think that you were reasonably, armed and dangerous? That they had a reasonable suspicion. They could be like, I don't know, you were, shifting around weird.
Yeah.
Did you really shift around weird? That's the cop's choice. And then what happens after that, could be bad. Maybe you were armed, or maybe you resist and then you get a different charge. So there's just a lot of stuff, like from the top to bottom, really.
And a lot of times it's like, I think, is guilt tripping something that happens? You were mentioning in one of your videos how not really guilt tripping, but they try to get evidence off you in any way they can. For example, the water drinking, when they offer you a cup of water.
Yeah. I mean, the water drinking is so. If they get your DNA, it's not necessarily something that could be used in evidence in court, but it is a way that they could use it in their system to see if your DNA matches with the crime scene or whatnot, right? Without you necessarily consenting to it. More common though is lying. The cops can lie to you. They can say, let's say you and your buddy get arrested and they put you in different rooms, and they can come in and say your buddy just confessed to everything, and then maybe you confess, or they can say we'll go easier on you, or they could say we found your fingerprints. Those things they're allowed to do, and if they get a confession from you, then you're pretty much screwed.
Can they keep adding? For example, if you get pulled over for something, turns out that's something you got pulled over for isn't even a thing. Can they then be like, well, now I want to get you for this?
That will depend. That's something that a defense lawyer definitely would argue. If they, for example, improperly searched your car and they found something, the defense lawyer is going to try their hardest to say that the search was improper, therefore you can't charge them for this thing. But that is, that's all up in the air, right? And the best thing to do in situations with the cops is always to remain calm, let them do what they're going to do, but make sure you take note, so that your lawyer can defend you the best.
Cool. I'm gonna throw out a couple incidences of like this happens to someone. What 3 things they should do, right? Because I think a lot of your videos are like, if you're in this situation, do this. So one of your most popular ones, cop pulls you over. What are the top 3 things you should remember?
Obviously pull over.
You forget that step.
Don't forget that step.
You're still driving. You're yelling, "I plead the fifth," going 65 on the
Yeah,
freeway.
do not run away from the cops. Don't make any sudden, weird movements, because that will put the cops on edge. Keep your hands on the wheel. Be respectful, when they're talking to you. And, in most, in all states, driver's license and registration, you have to show the cops. I believe in almost all states, proof of insurance as well. But that's really all you're required to do with the cops. So it's up to you whether you want to answer their questions or not. It really depends on if you're concerned that something bad could happen by answering it. And that's where you invoke the fifth and say you want to speak to a lawyer. But, if the cop, a lot of interactions are cops are like, you're speeding, here's your ticket, bye. Like, you don't need to make the situation worse.
What do you think of the people that, like, I've seen videos where this guy just has a piece of paper when a cop comes. He's like, I don't answer questions, leaves his window up. I'm like,
I mean, look, they can do that. But you have to have like a practical thing with this because, if you try to exercise your rights too much, even though the cops technically aren't allowed to say like that's a reason for searching you, it is going to make them think weirdly of you, right? So they may try to find reasons, and then you run into an issue of, do they make up reasons or did they find other reasons because they're searching at you harder? And that's kind of the concern with that stuff. So I think it's a balancing act that you have to make. I mean, if you're doing something illegal or have concerns that it could be interpreted that way, it may be smarter to not say anything. If you're not, then play it out. But if the cops start asking a lot of interrogating questions, that's when you got to be a little more concerned because they may be digging for a reason to do a search of you or do a search of your car. I mean, they have to if they had the reason to do it, they would have already done it, right? So the reason they're asking you questions is because they're fishing for more information to be able to do that.
right. I've been pulled over one time in my life. Unfortunately, it was when I was like right around the first time I got, like the time I got my license was when I got pulled over. I was driving, the cop was coming the other way, and I was on my phone. And then I just see him turn around. I'm like, fuck. And so I remembered, I was like, okay, pull over first safe place you can. And like, it was all red, so I couldn't pull over anywhere. So I go into this gated community, I turn right. He gets out pissed. He's like, why'd you continue driving? I was like, whoa. I stopped like the earliest I thought I could safely. And then just continues really aggressively. He's like, so I messed up. I didn't know. It was my first time being pulled over. I didn't know I wasn't supposed to like admit to anything I did right off the bat. He's like, you know why I pulled you over? Like, because I was on my phone.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
So he's
easy ticket for you.
Yeah, he's like, let me see your ID. And this is also where I messed up. I kept my ID in my trunk because it was in my basketball bag when I played basketball. And I kept everything in my trunk.
Oh, God.
So I'm like, it's in my trunk somewhere. Can I find it? And I kid you not, for like 5 minutes, I'm throwing stuff around in the trunk trying to find my ID. Calls for backup. So there's other female officer pulls up too. I'm just digging my trunk, finding my ID. Give him my ID, sit back in my car. He walks up. I'm like, just please give me a warning, please. I'm like praying to myself. He's like, goes on. He's like, a lot of kids your age just don't know cell phones this, cell phones that. Starts talking. I'm like, good. He's giving me like a lecture. He'll let me go after this.
Yeah.
He's like, so I wrote you here. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
So now, I mean, I learned my lesson. I'm still on my phone, but I handle it differently now. If I'm driving and I'm like on my phone, and let's say I see a cop, right? I pull this trick where I'm.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on that.
Throw my phone, so my phone could be in the back seat.
Yeah, I mean, if the cop is going to say that they observed you on your phone, like that's all they need, right? where your phone was. I mean, that could be an argument you could try to make arguing in court that your phone was in the back seat and they must be wrong. But whose word are they going to take? Yours? Yours, the guy who keeps the driver's license in the trunk, or the cop?
Isn't it more suspicious at a red light if I'm not on my phone and the cop pulls next to me?
I mean, I don't know. No comment on that one. You just don't use your phone if you're in a state that requires you to be hands free. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, but think about it. Like a cop pulls up next to you at a red light. Who's not on their phone at a red light? Obviously, you're not going to admit to that. But like, who sits there at the red light just staring at the light to turn green? And you do that when a cop comes. Like everyone, anytime a cop pulls up to you at a red light, you just sit there looking at the light.
Like Frozen.
Yeah, who does that? The cop's probably looking at you like, bro, you're fine. Dude. You can get on your phone.
Yeah, that's true.
I wanted to do something where I didn't get to do it beforehand. I was going to have Armand look at like, there's a lot of stuff that's like illegal, but the general public doesn't know it's illegal.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them, it's like really silly stuff. So can we take like a 2-minute break? I'm going to pull some stuff up.
Yeah.
Is it okay if I ask you, like, do you think this is legal or not?
All right.
How do you want to do it?
Yeah. I mean, however you want to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to do it. I'm going to name a couple things that are illegal and you're going to tell me, I'll ask you and you'll tell me, do you think this is illegal or not?
Okay.
So I'll have a list. I'll have some stuff that's like illegal and some stuff that's legal. You tell me, is this illegal or not?
Okay.
All right. So Mike, I'm going to read you a couple things that it's called dumb laws list. And it gives me different states and some laws that don't make sense to me, but you tell me why these might be illegal. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. In Alabama, bear wrestling matches are illegal.
And this is true. You're saying that this is true?
No, this is all true. I'm just wondering, like,
I mean, just like dog fighting, right? Pitting them against each other is like is just something animal cruelty. So it's, I guess if there's a law in the books for that, there was bear fighting.
Only in Alabama.
Alabama must have had a bear fighting problem more so than other states. I mean, most of these things could fall under probably a more general law about animal cruelty or even depending on what is occurring there may be more general laws, but in that situation, I guess they specifically mentioned bears.
I think they are pretty big on animals. This next one on Alabama is also, you cannot chain your alligator to a fire hydrant.
All right. So I guess someone did that once and there needed to be a law because they probably, I mean, sometimes these crazy laws were enacted because there was someone who got a ticket or got in trouble for it. And they said, there's no law in the book, and took it up to court. And then they said no alligators on fire hydrants. But apparently other poles are cool. I don't know.
I'm glad Alabama cares so much about animals and not about sleeping with your own family members. Okay, this next one is Arizona. Oh, it's also animal. I don't want to do more animals. It is illegal for men and women over the age of 18 to have less than one missing tooth visible when smiling.
All right. I don't even know. You said illegal to have more than one missing tooth
when smiling.
I mean, is that real? I mean, I can't tell you why that would be enacted.
How do these are these like city ordinances, or how do these?
I mean, I'd have to look deeper into it. I know that some of those things online, they're like urban legends that so many people have posted it that when people go back to research it, they just go, "Oh, it's been posted 100 times," and assume that it's true. But most of them don't have an actual source.
I might be helping you out. You might get a call tomorrow that says,
I only have 2 teeth, and I need.
My mom took this picture. Only both my teeth were missing. They were both showing.
My alligator's on a fire hydrant.
You're like, yeah. Arizona? She's like, yeah.
All right.
I'll send someone out. A lot of them have to do. So the reason I think it makes sense is a lot of these laws have to do with things going on Sundays, which would make sense.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A's closed on Sundays.
Yeah, there are city ordinances in some states. When I went to Duke at North Carolina, all the alcohol there you have to buy through you can't get it at the hard liquor you cannot get at the supermarket like you can here in California. You have to go to a special government-owned store for it.
Where is this at?
In North Carolina.
Oh, really?
and it's closed on Sundays. So there's certain things like that, different regulations on that. And I remember when I lived there too, that you couldn't, like on a Sunday brunch, you couldn't order drinks until a certain time, into the afternoon.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then do they stop serving at a certain time too?
I don't know.
'Cause I know like a lot of sporting events they do, right? After like the halftime or third quarter.
Yeah.
Or whatnot,
It's private establishments, right? So they probably do that on their own.
Connecticut, you can't educate your dog.
Educate your dog?
That's what it says.
I mean, I'm having a tough time believing these are true.
I don't believe it either. I heard something before that, like, for some copyright reason, singing "Happy Birthday" in public at certain areas is illegal.
No, I think I have to look into that one again. I think it's like
you've heard
a
that,
certain
right?
version. It's like a certain version, but I think the actual "Happy Birthday" song is way into public domain at this point.
Okay, we'll do one more. Let me see. I'm gonna find you a good one. Something that. Where are you from? We'll do something that hits close to home.
Where am I from? Los Angeles.
Oh, you're born and raised LA?
Yeah.
Oh, you're an LA
Wait,
boy,
you're not?
Mike. I am.
Oh yeah. I thought we knew each other.
All right. Oh, we did meet before this. All right. Here we go. This one's good for you. It's illegal to cry on the witness stand in California.
What? I mean, I have to look at what these things are saying. I mean, the thing is with most of these laws, even if they are laws, they're either outdated laws or laws that have never been, used. Certainly not, something that they would charge you with. I mean, look, we've all seen courtrooms, like people cry. I mean, you're not going to stop someone from having their emotions. Maybe there's something about like fake crying or something, or I don't know. But if that's a law, then it's been broken.
Okay, so we'll transition to something else. Another thing I wanted to talk about, because Halloween just passed. I saw one of your videos that was about Halloween candy and finding sharp objects in it, and you said that it doesn't actually happen.
Yeah, it's a total myth, and it's kind of weird. As a kid, my mom would scare me with that type of like news stuff too. And I honestly,
said your mom would do that.
No, that'd be really weird. But we looked into it when we were making that video, and there was a professor that went through all these different criminal charges and things that occurred around Halloween. Couldn't find a single instance. He did a research project on this. A single instance where a Halloween trick-or-treater was injured or died from trick-or-treating like candy. It just didn't exist. So it's just like a myth that everyone has kind of perpetuated throughout time, that there would be like needles in your or razor blades in your candy. Most recently, they were talking about fentanyl.
Is that one also a myth? So
yeah,
and all of this.
So what was happening in that one is crazy to me. The news was reporting that people were smuggling fentanyl through candy wrappers, like candy
I did hear
things.
That. Yeah.
But just because that's the way they were trying to smuggle it does not mean it's going to go into your trick-or-treaters candy. It was a jump that they took, and a lot of things on the news, unfortunately, just like social media, right? They're trying to get your attention, so they kind of use that, but they made like a total leap, and it was funny in the comments on that, which is if you think about it, true. Why would drug dealers want to waste their product
That's exactly what I'm
on
thinking. Like
kids and like free?
Imagine like El Chapo gets a call. They're like, dude, your shit ended up in Ralph's, and some family bought it.
They're like, not like, come on, they're trying to make money, right? So that's why they're in that business.
El Chapo's knocking at your door. He's like, trick or treat.
Yeah. It's just something that's been perpetuated, and there really hasn't been a case of it.
Wow, that's interesting. That was like, because you were hearing about it everywhere. This year was like more than ever hearing about that kind of stuff.
It's one of those snowball effect things. I think one news outlet decided to report about it, taking that leap that I was mentioning, and then just like the laws that you were reading, they're like, oh, it must be true, must be true, must be true, and keeps repeating until everyone believes that it's true, right?
That's interesting. Wow. All right, more personal question.
Oh, okay.
Let's say, Mike, you woke up tomorrow, $10 million in your pocket.
Yeah.
Where's the first place you're going?
Oh man.
He's like, I already have $10 million in my pocket.
Let me just take my pocket out right now. Somewhere tropical, relax.
I love you're the first. Every other guest was so like, I would do this. I would help the community.
Well, you said where I would go. You
I said,
where?
what would you do?
Oh, I thought you were.
No,
I thought
don't
you said
change
where.
it now, Hawaii.
No, I mean what I would do. I mean, I think.
What I would do? Buy a Ferrari.
No, I definitely would help out my family. Make sure that everyone in my family is taken care of with that type of money, and try to have a little fun with it. But most of it would be really either helping out my family or doing things that I think progress what our mission is here, which is to educate the public and teach people, and whether that means buying nice fancy cameras like you have with that money.
What are you talking about, Mike? These are iPhones. These are all handheld.
He just came back from a $40 HDMI cable cord.
$43 for this HDMI cord.
Who spends that type of money? This guy has $10 million.
Yeah, right. Pocket. Stay on this middle camera. This is my whole bank account right here. There's a wire.
But yeah, that's always a good question. I'd have to think about it more. It's a nice problem to have, though.
That is a nice problem. Do you vacation a lot? Have you been to?
I haven't been on a vacation for quite a while. I was just talking to my cousin, my director, about how we want to go to Tokyo soon. But
Alec?
Alec. Alec Mandell. You guys can't see him, but so we may go to Japan. We definitely need a break at some point because, as you know, making content can be really exhausting, and we put out a video almost every day. So at least a week off.
Yeah. I was speaking about Japan. I've been to the Japan airport, and though I took a kind of nice trip because my friend, he's from Indonesia. So I was going over there and we're getting the first class lounges everywhere. But the first class lounge in Japan, you walk in, they'll give you a key for your own personal bathroom, personal everything. Wow. So it's like a hotel thing. You walk over there, they have heated toilets, so you just want to sit there, and then you have your own I don't know, this probably sounds like normal to you, but this was crazy to me.
I don't know.
All you can eat sushi, all you can eat ramen, all you can eat everything, awesome. All at the lounge.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even staying in Japan. I was just there a layover.
Yeah, I've been to one of the airports there, and had a layover, and I was eating sushi at one the sushi places there. It was some of the best food I've ever had.
Yeah.
Without some of the best sushi I've ever had, and without a doubt the best airport meal I've ever had, because you know how that goes normally.
I can't stand airplane food. I literally I'm not picky at all. I'll eat anything. Once I get in that airplane, I'd rather just shit.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad, and it gets better if you're paying for those, the higher class, right? But the ones they give you in the back, it's not.
That's where I am.
I normally try. I mean, I've gotten there too,
but I used to do that. I used to do that before I was Mike Mandell.
But my advice to you, and this isn't legal advice because I'm not giving you legal advice here, but maybe bring some snacks.
Mike, not only are you a lawyer, but you're a fucking genius. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Mike, thank you for coming. I appreciate you guys for tuning in to this episode of No Script. Today's guest was Mike. And Mike, thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, Kia.
And if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure you guys subscribe, leave a comment who you want to see on the next episode. And go check out Law by Mike on every platform. He's even in Spanish. Si está en español, for all you para tus personas de México, de España, tenemos Ley de Mike. Ley de Mike. Muchas gracias. Thank you so much, Law by Mike. Thank you so much, Mike. I'll see you guys next time.
All right, thank you.
Peace.